former Division One athlete. I now run a fitness coaching business as well as a sports media brand that creates podcasts, sells merchandise, and creates other exclusive content. This show is a place for me to document my thoughts on fitness, health, nutrition, maybe some business or mindset stuff, as well as update anyone listening on my own competitive fitness endeavors and life events. I want everybody that comes and listens to this show to take something away that can make their life better, whether it's a diet or fitness tip or a way of thinking about things that motivates you to be better in your own life. Hopefully, we can get that done. But regardless, I'm glad you're here. Let's have a day. Let's go. Brain is going a million miles an hour right now. I don't know if this is one of those, I don't know. Sometimes I go into this weird mode of every single thing that's going on in my life. It's all coming across, flashing across my brain at the same time. And as the intro music was loading there, it happened to be one of those moments. So hopefully we just settle down here. I got a couple things to talk about today. Welcome into the Snap Podcast. Thanks for being here. It's officially October when you hear this. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Time goes fast. You blink and the summer's over and football season is almost half over already. And I don't know about half over, but you're getting close to the middle of football season and the holidays are coming up and we're getting into the 3 months of the year that is I don't know, feels like the fastest 3 months. Generally, can we all agree on that? Like once we hit October, especially for people who are into football or have kids that are into fall sports, it is 100% like the fastest time of the year. Halloween, activities, then it's Thanksgiving, all of a sudden it's Christmas, it's a new year, bang, you're into 2025. So, who knows? Got a really fun I'm gonna quickly itch my eye because we got like a sty right now in my eyelid. That really feels good. Never had to deal with that before, but I think that's certainly what it is. So that feels fun. Had a great weekend. Went to the pumpkin patch. Probably the most. It was like an amusement park. Actually, I don't know if any of you are in the Des Moines, Iowa, Nebraska, Omaha area. But if you want to go to the most involved pumpkin patch you've ever been to, check out Vala's pumpkin patch and apple orchard. If they have when you walk into Disney, they give you the little animated map so you can find your way around the place. You get one of those at this place. It's not like it's nuts. Had a good time. My sister-in-law's birthday is 3 days after mine, so yeah, we always kind of celebrate that together with my wife's family. Got to celebrate that. Got a couple gifts. Well, as you're listening to this is the first time that you're listening to 30-year-old Tyler, actually. So, uh, I guess last week you listened on my birthday, but as I recorded that episode, I was still 29. I'm now 30, and I think there's a couple notes there on being 30. This was certainly not. I had the thought come across my head a couple weeks ago, maybe even a couple months ago, that was like, huh, turning 30 this year. And I think I thought this a couple times throughout the year, just like, oh, this is the year that you turn 30. I feel like when you turn 20 and you're a kid, good yawn there. When you're in your teens, you're absolutely 100% a kid, right? I don't care if 18 designates that you can smoke cigarettes and whatever else. And really even at 21, I don't you can drink alcohol now, but you're very much so a kid. I fully bought into that. The when you turn 20 and a lot of kids are in college at that point, you're like, "Oh, I'm old." Second or third year of college, and you're getting you've established a little bit of yourself on your own. You're learning how to live on your own or live or with roommates. You don't have your parents. You're a couple years into the no parent scene. It's pretty great. It's cool, right? And then you turn 21, and 21's like the last birthday where you feel like something actually matters because it allows you to then drink alcohol legally. 25, you can rent a car. That was cool. That was helpful for when the wife and I traveled, we could rent a car by ourselves. And then, you get upwards of 27, 28, 29, and all of those years kind of feel the same. At least for me, they did. And I would say, as long as you take care of your health, obviously, right? Sort of the pre presupposition to this podcast. I feel good. I look, perform, feel better than probably 99% of people my age. So there was no health decline, really I mean, in a lot of ways, you could actually say that I'm in a much better spot health-wise, fitness-wise than I was. And I'm maybe an extreme case, but it's my podcast, so it is what it is. Than I was when I was 20 or 22 or 24 or whatever, straight out of college. And but then you hit 30, and I was listening to another podcast today, Mind Pump. They were talking about they're older, they're 45. I think they're maybe even getting closer to 50. And one of the guys was talking about a family member, and he called him a kid. And I think he's like 29 years old or in his upper 20s. And the other guy goes, "Yeah, anybody under the age of 30 is still a kid." And it kinda hit me like, "Ooh, even for the people in, like, their 40s and 50s, 30, like, you have a 3 in front of your age, and even for older people, you're no longer considered a kid, you are considered an adult by the elders." So, and I think I identified with that, I think that's true, I think as we round the corner on 30 years here, uh, certainly becoming a parent is something that ages you. Oh, probably physically, but certainly mentally and maturity-wise, did a lot for me. I think even before that, the mental maturity and aging, and yeah, the, development was a big factor in just getting me to a spot to even decide to have a kid. At 25, 24, 25, I was very cognizant and aware that I did not want a kid yet, did not wanna add that stress or responsibility to my life, and then over the course of the next 2 to 3 years, something inside my brain chemistry started to change and was like, I wouldn't mind being a dad. I would like to be a dad. Let's try to become parents." That kind of progression. Very, very unique and cool thing to go through, but also sort of illuminating to the fact that, like, I think this might be the final evolution of you as an adult before you start the descent to death. Really dire way to put it there, but I think as you start that descent to death on the, youth to age spectrum, I think maybe the last thing, and they say that it's about 25 years old is when your brain fully develops. I think it was even like 25 or 26 for me personally, and I could literally feel that change based on the responsibilities I wanted, how I acted in certain situations, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and then, having a kid, obviously, you have to take a lot of responsibility and, like, figure that out. There's a lot to figure out there. And when you hit 30, you've also at this point, at least for most people, in my case, like, you are now rounding you're on your way to a decade worth of being out of the system, right? The school system, unless you didn't go to school. You could be even further out. You could be at a decade if you went to a 2-year school or you didn't go to school. a full decade of being like an adult in a sense of you're not learning, you're not preparing yourself for the real world. You're in the real world now. And enough time in the game in that area of your life and you start to feel like, okay, yeah, I do feel like an adult. And we bought a house this year. So that's one of those sort of big adult things that you do. Requires money, of course, to do that, which you make with your adult job. I don't know if I what I do qualifies as an adult job, but so all these things start to come together and then, you know, just straight up, you've been here for 30 years on the planet. I feel great physically, but I don't think that psychologically or the way that I view myself is any longer in the realm of I still see myself as a kid. And for about 27 or 28 years, I think I really said that. It's like, and I still just think of myself as a kid. What I'm capable of physically, like if you want me to go run around with kids or like, do backflips or sprint or I don't lift, all those things because I'm into physical fitness and that kind of thing. I'm still capable of everything, but mentally I'm approaching things from a whole different level. So that's your advice from the geezer 30-year-old. And I don't know why I had to go on for 12 minutes about that, but I did. Part of I guess it kind of relates to part of today's topic because hopefully at 30 years old when you get here or maybe you're already there and past that and maybe it's time to hone in on this yourself. Um at 30 years old, like there's not really an excuse to not have personal accountability and responsibility for the things in your life and one of those things is your health. Or not just your health, but anything that you deem important and an active pursuit in your life. Could be your career, your family, you being a father, a hobby, whatever it may be, your fitness, etc., your finances. And I think the privilege that you have as an adult because of experience and that mental maturity that you go through is hopefully at that point in your life you've gone through something where you've wanted or you've wanted something, you've wanted to reach a certain spot in sports or whatever it may be. You've created this goal for yourself. You've set out on a plan to reach that goal and it's been like a pretty decently long pursuit time-wise, right? Not like a couple weeks, but like you practiced or you prepared or you set out to reach this thing and it took months, maybe years. And you've been able to see what kind of effort you put in and what that amounts to. Did the work you put in get you to the goal? Did you fall short? Did you over did you over exceed or succeed? You got something even further than you got further than you ever thought you would. And I've gotten to do that in plenty of things with my life. Uh, but it kind of struck me this morning as I took uh baby girl to daycare. There's she's probably I don't know, she's in middle school. Maybe I would say she's maybe in somewhere between 5th and 7th grade. Girl that lives on the street that the daycare's on. And for the last week or so, as I take the kid to daycare and drop her off, 7 o'clock in the morning before school, she's got this kind of like pitch and return net. It's just like a flat net or kind of target that bounces a ball back if you throw a ball at it. And it's got like, the target on there like a square, like a strike zone. And she's got it set up against the garbage can in the driveway so that when the ball hits it, it doesn't like fall over. And then she throws it and it bounces it back to her and it's somewhat random so she can kind of work on the variability of like having to catch it but she's just like playing catch with herself with this net. And I don't know if it's just for fun. It could just be like to kill time. I know this. Most kids nowadays would just sit on the front step. I assume she's waiting for the bus or something. Most kids nowadays, her age, definitely have cell phones. Definitely are probably just sitting on the couch inside or on the step outside waiting for the bus, scrolling through TikTok. She's out there with the net, which requires you got to go into the garage, grab it, set it up, grab the ball, put your phone down, and actively work on playing catch with this net and getting better at throwing and catching. And I'd like to think the story I'm telling myself is that this girl cares. She wants to be good at softball someday. She wants to maybe play for the high school team, or maybe already at the age of 12 or 13 she has aspirations to go and play in college because she understands that that's a possibility. And it just struck me that today it's something like that that creates a separation. And it's not hard, right? And I want to use this quickly as like an example for everyone. It's not hard today in most cases, right? This is a generality. Uh but 95% of the time, if you're trying to separate from your peers or other people who you're going to be up against, it's not hard to separate yourself. This girl is taking 5 or 10 minutes every morning playing catch with herself and the net in her driveway. And there's 50 in Milwaukee, there's 100 other girls at 12 or 13 years old that might care about softball right now and think that they're gonna play for the varsity team someday. And the reality is, in her grade alone, the reality is there's 9 spots on that softball team, and with 2 to 3 classes between sophomore and seniors at the high school level, let's call it 100 girls a class that might play softball when they're young. Well, out of those 300 girls 5 years from now, there's gonna be 9 that start on that team, and there might be another 9 that sit on the bench behind them. And this girl is unknowingly probably separating herself from an early age with a simple act of just, "Hey, we're just gonna play catch." She's gonna get an extra 50 to 100 reps in just playing catch with herself in the morning. By the time she gets to this off season in the summer, softball season starts up, she'll have caught 1,000, 2,000, who knows? If she does this every day, 10,000 softballs off a net, and she'll be that much further ahead with her throwing and catching. It made me think of back when I got into long snapping. This is called the Snapped Podcast, which is a derivative of me long snapping. How I would do the same thing. Now I was 100% on a pursuit to try and make Division 1. So it wasn't like I was just messing around and, fumbling into it. But I would go out and I would snap anywhere from 75 to 100 long snaps a day. 90% of them at a net, a kicking net that had like a little thing that was about waist high that I would just aim at that. And that's how I thought back then. It wasn't the most efficient, knowing after being a Division 1 snapper now my workouts could have been a lot more efficient and intentional, but that's the best I knew at the time. And that's what helped separate me. And it took 45 minutes to an hour. Oftentimes in a hot, like, out in my front yard, which if you go to my yard in Marshalltown still today in 2024, 12 years later, 13 years later, there's still a dead spot of grass in my old front yard that my parents don't even live there anymore because I wore it down with my cleats because I would long snap so many footballs. And now we're in the real world and there's a bunch of people that are just average and they're trying to get one up. They're trying to find a way to make their life a little better. They're trying to find a way to feel a little better, look a little better. And the message here is it doesn't take a lot. This girl is out there for 10 minutes a day And the additive property of that, the compounding effect of her doing 10 minutes a day is going to put her significantly, visibly ahead of dozens of girls in her class at just throwing and catching a softball. That 10 minutes a day for you as an adult could be some stretching or 10 minutes, a 10-minute walk, or 10 minutes spending a little extra time on deciding on some healthier food to eat or meal prepping healthy food instead of ordering DoorDash or something like that. Could be an extra 10 minutes of reading that you do every night. It's something that is productive that will separate you from the pack. And it's such I just wish I could beat it into people's head because it's been such a principle and concept that's worked for me. And once you see it work and you feel it work for you, you're like, oh my God, it's magic. But it's not magic. It's just an extra 10 minutes a day. That's not hard. What's hard is doing it consistently because it's another 10 minutes tomorrow and another 10 minutes after the day after that. And it's going to be about who's the most consistent with those 10 minutes. Because if you do one 10 minutes a week or 10 minutes every couple weeks, you're dipping your toe in the water. You're not jumping in. So, I was inspired by that middle school girl this morning. It made me think about how things have happened in my life because I've committed to a little extra work. I think it's a good message. Then it motivated me because this morning it's Monday, right? Monday, 30 years old. Got to take the kid to school. Got a couple other things that I won't dive into going on, scheduled, blah, blah, blah. Something at 8:30. Get home at like 7:20. Still haven't eaten breakfast. So what do? Got an hour. Better use it because you ain't getting that time back. And there's people out there that are always outworking you. So instead of bitching out on the morning run that was scheduled on my programming today, I got my ass out there and I ran. Didn't have the ideal warm up I wanted to. Didn't run as fast as I would have liked to. But for 20, I don't even know how long it took. 22, 25 minutes this morning. I think it was less than that. It was like 18 or 20 minutes. I did a 8 by 200 fast, 200 slow intervals around the block. I was the only one out there. There's a few hundred people that live in my neighborhood. I didn't see anybody else out there sprinting. I don't see many people that look like me in the neighborhood either. There must be a correlation. Something to think about. And trust me, I didn't want to run. I woke up this morning, wife's alarm went off at 5:30. I knew that there was something running wise programmed for the morning, and I had all the excuses to not fit it in. And when you're laying there, and this is something I call the pillow bitch. It's your other self. It's an alternate version of you starts to talk to you. Ooh, you're under those covers. It's nice and warm. It's comfy. You've been laying there for 8, 9, 10 hours. Man, that life's cushy at that point. You got your head on the pillow. It's cold. That's the pillow bitch. That's you, the pillow bitch, talking. And that's maybe a little bit vulgar. Pillow bitch. I think it's a funny thing to call like your alternate self who's trying to tell you to take some time off, go easy on yourself. You can do it later. The pillow bitch. It might mean something else at like a Diddy party or something, but that's what it means to me. And then you got to tell that pillow bitch to shut up. Sorry. Put the workout shorts on. Put the running shoes on. We got to go get this done. And that's what we did. And it always feels good on the other side of it. Because you made the decision. And a lot of people didn't. And that going back to that girl playing catch with herself in the net. How are you going to separate yourself? Finished today with a couple tracking numbers. As I mentioned last week, I've been tracking my fitness. Been tracking my fitness. Been doing that for a while now. Been tracking my food specifically down to the calorie for the last couple weeks, and we've been trying to bulk. And I kind of been stuck. I was at 205 like a month, probably 6 weeks ago now. I got the flu, and it's incredible how much a flu can just derail things. 2 really 2 days worth of the flu took me back like 4 pounds. So I was at like 205, dropped all the way down to like 200 again after the flu. 200, 201 is where I've been sitting for the last 4 weeks. Finally, the weights jumped up a little bit, and I mean, we're eating a lot, man. We're tracking once again, like before, calories, and then within those calories, how many grams of protein, how many steps am I getting per day? And we're not going for a super high step count. Again, if you want to lose weight, some of the best way to do that is to get a very high step count, right? Not necessarily by running, but just by walking. It's a great way to lose body fat, but not overstimulate the body to like super overcompensate and start pairing off muscle. Telling you, get on your walking right now. Um, it's so we've been tracking for 2 weeks, and really we've been consciously eating at this level for probably another 2 weeks. So for 4 weeks, almost a month, we've been eating at this level. And the numbers are in so far at just over 4,200 calories a day. 212 grams of protein per day. This weekend hurt that number. I only got 150 on Saturday and Sunday because we were again traveling to Omaha and back. Then we're just short of 10,000 steps a day, right at 98.25. So, 10,000 steps a day is good. I would call that like the healthy movement range. That has been not intentional at all. That's just, me standing at my desk, walking up and down the stairs, being the active person that I am. There is 2 or 3 days a week where a run is included in that, and that helps me get steps. But most of the days of the week, I do not run. Uh, we go on walks with the family. Some days we don't. We go out to the store. We walk around. So it just so happens that 10,000 number, I'm just, 150, 200 short, 9,800 steps a day. If I was trying to lose weight, that would definitely be higher. I'd push that towards 12,000 or gradually at least increase that. And my calories would be lower. But we are trying to build and be a beefy human right now and move weight. And that is going well. So weighed in at 204.6 yesterday. So we have gained a little bit of weight. The estimated BMR right now, as we move into the 2-a-days sessions, is somewhere around like 3,700 calories. That's a good spot to be. I mean, most of you are like, Jesus Christ, that's a lot. For me, it's actually not crazy. I'd love for that to be closer to 4,000. It will be 4,000 as we progress into the season. In fact, it'll probably be closer. It might even creep towards 4,500 this year, which is an insane amount of calories to burn per day. But when you're doing 2-a-days at the intensity that I am, it just is the reality. And that will be the realities closer to like the turn of the year, January, February, as we get close to the open. And the goal, we've gone up a couple pounds in the past week. I would really like to push the 210 range. Like I haven't been as heavy as I am right now in years. Basically when I went under 200 for the first time since basically freshman year of high school, back when I first started the intermittent fasting right out of college, that was 2018. I think somewhere late 2018, I would have gone under 200 for the first time. I could probably find it in my MyFitnessPal because I tracked my weight back then. And I have not seen 200 until, probably a month ago. I just decided I've gained muscle gradually over the past few years as we've been in the CrossFit stuff. And we've really decided to kind of push the upper end of it and see how much fitness can I retain while also kind of being a big beefy boy, a big beefy beastie boy, if you know what I'm saying. And obviously we want to make sure that we're not gaining tons of fat. I still look, in a aesthetic sense, I look pretty darn good for being 205 and 5'10. Um, I'd estimate my body fat around like 12 or 13% right now. Maybe closer to 15, but I'm looking pretty shredded in the mirror, and not even trying to be. And you want to make sure that when you're in a bulk and you are gaining weight, you want to make sure it's functional weight, right? So you should be able to see your lifting numbers go up, or at least at percentage, you should feel pretty good when you're squatting or deadlifting. Like things should not feel heavy relative to your all-time numbers. Um, and we're doing pretty good. I would imagine if I tried right now, I probably would set a front squat PR lifetime. I think my back squat, I'd probably be able to match my lifetime PR. I set a split jerk PR the other day at 325 in the gym. Be posting a video of that soon. And in the video, you can see I've got at least 10 more pounds. I might even be able to push towards like 345, 350, which is absurd. Um, my clean feels amazing. Clean 315 for the first time in a long time the other day, and it honestly felt light. It wasn't even a good clean. It was a pause at the shin clean. Our lifting is just beautiful right now. Conditioning isn't as great. Running feels clunky, but that's what you get when you throw on an extra 10 to 15 pounds. And we're working on that. So that's where we're at right now. We will continue to update you guys. Again, we're coming up on a couple of these competitions. I think basically 1 month from right now, 4 weeks from right now, the qualifier for the Miami Wadapalooza CrossFit comp starts. So over the course of that 4 or 5 day weekend, I'll be doing the qualifier workouts. And then 2 weekends after that, I will be doing the partner competition with Cole at the gym. So, we've got a couple competitive weekends worth of like real try hard CrossFit here coming up in about a month. Basically, full steam ahead towards that and trying to be as fit as we can and trying to gain the edge over everybody else out here in this world. That's the name of the game. Your excuses aren't valid. They aren't. You got to find a way to get it done. Go do it. Have a day, have a week. We'll talk to you next week. See ya.